I am Sibahle Magadla, like you said. I'm from the Eastern Cape. I come from a family of 4 older sisters and a younger brother. Grew up in a very nurturing background, very close family, very close friends, and I've just really had a very generally happy childhood.
Oh, that's good. You grew up
Yeah.
in Mthatha, right?
Yes, I grew up in Mthatha.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How big is the town? How small is the town?
So it's a small town. Most people know each other. So if I were to say to my mom, "Do you know Mrs. whoever from that neighborhood?" She'll probably know who her kids are, who she's married to, and who else she's related to. It's a very small town. So you tend to know everyone's news and you tend to know what everyone is up to, which is really nice. Sense of community is always a bonus.
It is. It's very important. I know in my community it was pretty much the same. In most black communities it is that way.
Definitely.
We say ngabantu, so
yeah,
it's very important.
That's how it is.
What I want to know, you grew up in Mthatha.
Yeah.
Young girl playing around.
Yeah.
What did you dream of becoming between the ages of 5 to 10? What did you see yourself?
So one thing I must tell you about Mthatha is that because of the way it's geographically located, so it's the town and then it's surrounded by rural areas. So you have like a melting pot where you have really rich people in the town and then people who come from the surrounding rural areas who come to the town either for work or to shop or to use government services. So throughout I was exposed to both like extremes of livelihood. So the issues such as inequality or people not having the same access to the same things when we're all people. That's something that I've always thought about and been exposed
Really?
to.
At 5 to 10?
Like even in that age, you realize that there was like a certain class of people depending on what income background, like bracket that they're part of. So from a young age, you're almost like conditioned to view people a particular way. So I think for me also seeing that and then coming from a family that nurtured me and pushed me to work hard and to do my best. My father was always like, there's nothing you can't do. Be the top in your class. Be even better than that boy who's doing like the best in the class and just strive to do more so that you can leave Mthatha, see other places, be a success and give back to your family and your community.
Yeah. So, or would you say you're passionate about helping abantu, basically?
Definitely, with all my heart. And I think then it filtered through in primary school and high school when I was involved in different community service projects where we'd go to HIV/AIDS hospices, we'd fundraise for different organizations to play our part in helping out.
What societies were you involved in?
So in high school, the one my favorite was an orphanage called Etembelihle. So we used to fundraise and like during Christmas and certain times of the year, bring the kids clothes and gifts, and then also on top of that we actually used to go and volunteer, so actually help with teaching them or just spending time with them, like and spending a day with other young people and just sharing like experiences and sharing stories. And then we also used to visit an HIV/AIDS hospice. I can't remember what it's called now. And we used to fundraise, provide money, bring food. Sometimes we used to go just sing for them, pray for them.
Was this in primary school?
So this was primary school and beginning of high school.
My gosh. Okay.
So I think even from that age, I was exposed to helping people.
Yeah.
And it was also less about what it did for the other people, but what it does for you as a human being to realize that you're not an island and that everything you do has an impact on someone else. So it was even more beautiful to know that like I have a positive impact on someone regardless of how small it is. So I think from there it birthed the desire to do more for more people in the country.
Who's your role model, actually?
So for me, it's a different range of people. Firstly, I think the biggest role model for me is my mother. She comes from a very disadvantaged background, extremely. But she's very smart, so she worked hard. She has a master's now. She's busy working on her PhD in psychiatry. But the thing is with her, it's her generosity.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Like I look at her and I'm like, wow. So she, like throughout, like when we were growing up, my mom was a woman who like, if anyone came into the house, she'd offer like, are you hungry? Do you want this? Or even if we'd be walking in town or she'd see a woman bake, like she, even if she doesn't have much, still wants to share. So I think for me, realizing that by giving to others, you're not taking away from your own basket. It's almost like the more you give, the bigger your basket becomes. So I think from there, I was like, then why not enlarge my territory by giving more? Because the more I give, it's almost like the greater capacity I'm endowed with to give. So my role model is my mother.
Yeah. It actually goes even with the scripture, when you sow, you reap.
Exactly.
The moment you said that, it made me think about that. You know, it's like the more you give, the more you'll be blessed as well. But there's something about that Mthatha soil, I have to say. There's something, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because, you know, so many nation builders come from Mthatha. We've got the likes of Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
We've got Usia Tuza. Yes. You know, you see that gap, the young man who's an innovator. What do you think it is about Mthatha which breeds such leaders? What do you think it is? What is it about your childhood and how you grow up Mthatha? Because there's also a lot of people that I know from Mthatha, just like you as well, who are just, they're driven. I guess it comes from that sense of community from an early age, but I want you to answer that. Yes. What is it about Mthatha?
So an honest answer from my perspective is that, number one, with Mthatha is a beautiful place in the sense that it's not perfect, but in that imperfection, there's so many things that need to be fixed. Like there's potholes on the road, there's poverty, there's inequality, there's broken families, there's all these things that are so wrong with it, such that when you grow up with almost this vision to make things better. So I'm not going to school to just get money. I'm going to school because there are issues that need to be addressed. So growing up in that environment of daily, you're faced with the fact that I need to do more so I can give more. I need to be more so I can provide more. And I think the other big thing with Mthatha is that education is valued. I mean, young people, you know, you must go to school. Whether you're raised by a grandmother who's never been to school, they will drive the point that Mdanam Funda, go and learn. So I think the desire to be educated and to know more then produces these people. And I think for me personally, the reason I've been so driven is because I've grown up in a nurturing environment. Like I said, I have older sisters who believe in me and have done so much to make sure that I do more, and parents who are supportive, who say whatever you want to do it, we're behind you. So I think all those elements combined then make you want to strive more, and they already open up your mind and your eyes to what's happening in the world and what needs to be fixed in the world.
Oh my gosh, that actually answers my question, because it's really amazing that most of really the people who I know to be impactful and the people who have built this country actually come from that particular town. You know, there's a lot which is clearly going to happen for you as well, which you're already doing. So I'm excited. So you spoke about your education, and you're currently doing your Masters of Commerce in Economic Science at one of the best universities, University of Cape Town, UCT. It's one of the best universities in Africa. What made you want to expand on your education to the extent that you've gone to the research side now? Do you see yourself maybe educating other people as well?
Firstly, number one, I feel very blessed to be a UCT student. Like, I used to dream about coming to UCT. I think I was in grade 7. I was like, I'm going to come to UCT. And to have made it so far, the journey has been hard, but I'm grateful. I think initially growing up, being in high school, everyone was like, you're good at maths. You must go and do actuarial science or some hectic course at UCT. So like back then there was I want to go to the best university and do the hardest course because everyone says I'm smart and that I can do it. And then I came to UCT. I started out with actuarial science for the first 2 years, and it was a range of things. I didn't really enjoy the course. It wasn't what I thought it would be. And also it was very...
So you started with actuarial?
I did actuarial science for 2 years because I wanted to, remember, I'm passionate about healthcare. So I wanted to go into microinsurance. So that's providing insurance policies for low-income citizens. So then I started with that, but I realized that it's not necessarily what I enjoy, what I really want to go into. And then that's when I switched to economics. But the thing with education is that, like, the more you learn, the more questions you have. So with me learning, I finished my undergrad in economics, then I did my honors. There was still that craving that, you know what, I could be a graduate and go into corporate and earn a really great salary and drive a really nice car. But at the same time, there's just this hunger for more knowledge in order to provide solutions to a lot of the questions and the problems that the world has. And I think for me personally, also being a black female South African aspiring academic, the main thing for me is that I want to be able to find practical solutions to economic problems, but be able to communicate them to the least educated person and say,
come on,
this is why this policy will change your life, your family's life, your children's life. That's why I'm into research. That's why I'm so passionate about it.
How do you plan to do that, to bridge that gap and be able to communicate it to maybe the person in let's say one community who doesn't know much about policies and how they work? How do you plan to bridge that gap that you're speaking about?
I think for me, the one gift I have is that I'm very relational. So I'm already mentoring people. I mentor people here in Cape Town, I mentor people back home. And for me, I always share not only my personal experiences, but what my learnings are. Ooh. So I think the beauty about my position is that, like, I'm being equipped academically with all these tools and skills and ways of thinking, but I also have that almost social capital then with the people I know, with relatives, with friends, with people at church in my community, to say, by the way, this is what government is considering passing, or this is what academics are advising the Minister of Economic Development to do. What do you think? Or just to provide information and say, hey, you are able to go to Parliament if you like and find out what bills are being discussed. Or you also have a say, you have a voice in this particular change about, say, land or agriculture, or what should happen in terms of education, innovation in education.
Organization coming up for you?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
Soon.
Very soon.
God bless. Make it happen. You know, it's needed.
It's necessary. It's necessary.
Yeah, I'm holding you to that.
Thank you.
As
Hold me accountable. Please hold me accountable.
But, you know, I know to do research is a really strenuous thing. A lot.